Welcome. Our 40-day journey to discover your purpose begins today. Today is day one, and the starting point is God. If you're watching this video right now and you have yet to discover your purpose, I want you to join us on this 40-day transformational journey. God bless. And remember, access is always free. Colossians chapter 1, verse 16 has this to say: For by him all things were created that are in heaven and that are on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions, or principalities or powers. All things were created through him and for him. Yes, the starting point is God. The Apostle Paul in the book of Acts of Apostles, chapter 17, verse 28, says, In him we live and move and have our being. This emphasizes our complete dependence on God for every aspect of our lives. It means, number one, our existence is rooted in him. Number two, our movements and actions are guided by him. And number three, our very being is sustained by him. The starting point is God. You cannot be complete without him. In the beginning, when God was about to create all the things we now see today, he first spoke to their sources. For example, when he was about to create the fish, he spoke to the water. When he was about to create plants, he spoke to the ground. That is why when you remove a fish from the water, that fish will die. Why? Because it is no longer connected to its source, which is the water. When you uproot a plant from the source, which is the ground, that plant will automatically die. Why? Because you have disconnected that plant from the source, which is the ground. Now, when God was about to create man, he spoke to the source, and the source was himself. Now, think about this. A fish dies when it is disconnected from its source, which is water. A plant dies when it is disconnected from its source, which is the ground. What do you think will happen to man if he disconnects himself from his source, who is God? Think about this. I think it is pure intellectual arrogance and a sheer biblical ignorance coupled with critical thinking illiteracy for someone to say a man can do without God. You can get away with it if you say a man can succeed without God. In fact, you are right when you say a man can succeed without God. You know why? Because the ability to do anything is already in man. In the beginning, God did not create Christians. God created man. So if you are a man living on this earth, you have the ability to do anything. And that is why when an armed robber robs a bank and come out successfully, has he succeeded? Yes. Did he succeed with God? No. So a man can succeed without God, but a man cannot do without God. You cannot do without God. And you can succeed without God, but you can never find true fulfillment without God. So with God, you find fulfillment. With God, you will find peace of mind. With God, you will find favors. With God, everything seems to be possible. Man cannot do without God. The word do is a verb, which means to perform an action. Do you know that breathing, to breathe in air, to breathe in oxygen, and to breathe out carbon dioxide is performing an action? So, how can you do without God? You cannot do without God because the air that we breathe every day belongs to God. The rich fool in the Bible thought he could do without God until God proved to him that the air that he breathed was his. So man cannot do without God. You that is watching me right now, you cannot do without God. So you have to surrender yourself to God because in him we live, move, and have our being. God is your source. You must go back to him. Some of us are just like the prodigal son. We need to go back to our Father because he is our source. We cannot do anything without him. For you to be able to discover your purpose, you must go back to your source. In the book of Matthew, chapter 11, verse 28, Jesus Christ says, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." God is waiting for us to go back to him as our source because in him we will be able to know who we really are. The starting point is God. If you are not with him, you are against him. One with God is majority. Endeavor to look for God if you are not with him. Go back to your source, who is God, and he will help you. So if you don't have a good relationship with God, please make sure to reconnect yourself with him. This is day one. The starting point is God. If you want to discover your purpose, you must connect to your source. Joseph connected to his source and he became the prime minister. David connected to his source and he became the next king. Solomon connected to his source and he became the wisest king. If you want to be used by God, endeavor to connect to him today. See you in my next video. God bless you.